After 3 years of living with my mother-in-law and enduring her constant harassment, my ex-husband abruptly demanded a divorce. He said, "Let's get divorced. I want to be with a woman who's cuter than you and can have kids." As I was leaving my in-laws' house, my mother-in-law also had some choice words for me. "You're 30 and can't even have kids. It'll be interesting to see how you survive after this divorce." Fast forward 10 years, and I get an unexpected call from my ex-husband, whom I never wanted to speak to again. "I have some bad news." For some reason, he's crying on the other end of the line. In response to my silence, he continued, My mom just passed away." "Okay." "You must be sad too, right? She was like a real mother to you. But we don't have time to grieve. We have to arrange the funeral. Can you come and help?" What are you talking about? My mother-in-law passed away 3 years ago." "What?" Stunned, my ex-husband then exploded in anger. I then told him the truth about myself. "My name is Millie Burt, and I'm 40 years old. I've been working at an ad agency since I graduated, and now I'm a section manager. My biological mother was a free spirit who had an affair and left when I was young. So I grew up without ever knowing what my mother looked like. But life with my kind dad was happy, so I lived as if I didn't have a mother. I did get married once when I was 26. His name was Wilbur Levski. Introduced by a friend, Wilbur was a salesman for an electronics company. "Millie, marry me, I'll make you happy." "Thank you, I'm delighted." I couldn't have imagined then how miserable my married life would become. My dad was thrilled about my marriage. I remember feeling so happy that I could finally make him proud. As we were getting close to the wedding, I asked Wilbur, "So, what are we doing about our new home? Should we start looking for a place?" "Huh? We're gonna live with my parents." "What? You never told me that." I was shocked and looked at Wilbur's face, but he seemed unfazed. "My dad passed away early and my mom lives alone. It's sad, isn't it? We have to live with her." "But don't tell me you're going to say no to living with her after we've come this far with wedding plans. Are you that heartless? My mom would cry if she heard that." I couldn't say no after hearing that. My mother-in-law seemed nice enough during the family meeting. It should be fine. I was disappointed because I had dreamed of a newlywed life just with him, but I agreed to live with my mother-in-law. So, right after getting married, I moved into Wilbur's family home, and that's when the cohabitation with my mother-in-law began. But this turned out to be the beginning of a nightmare. On the day we moved in, Louise, my mother-in-law, declared, "From now on, Millie, you'll be doing all the housework." "What?" "You married into this family, so it's only natural. Do you have a problem with that?" "No, I'll do my best." I had promised to keep working after the marriage because Wilbur didn't want to lower his standard of living. Meanwhile, Louise, who was still in her 50s, wasn't working at all. I had hoped that if Louise was home during the day, she could at least help with some chores. That hope was quickly shattered. Juggling a full-time job and household chores for 3 people was no small feat. I'd wake up at 5:30 a.m. to clean, do laundry, and make breakfast. After working all day, I'd come home to make dinner and continue with household chores. I had virtually no free time. I was always busy with housework. And Louise? She'd leave her clothes strewn about and couldn't even bother to put trash in the trash can. I couldn't bring myself to confront her about it. I didn't want to worry my dad, who was so happy about my marriage. Louise was sloppy in her daily life, but had no shortage of complaints about my housekeeping. "Millie, what's for dinner today? Chili con carne? How cheap. It's in season and I got a good deal. Plus, chickpeas are healthy." "Don't treat me like an old lady. I want meat. Make it again." "Right now, we don't have any meat in the house." "Then go buy some. Hurry up." I looked to Wilbur for support, but he was engrossed in his phone. "Wilbur would prefer meat too, right, Wilbur?" "Yeah, just like Mom said. Go buy some." Wilbur said this without even making eye contact. I clenched my teeth and left the house with my wallet. Wilbur would either ignore Louise's unreasonable demands or agree with her. Maybe it was because Louise had been a single parent for a long time, but she seemed unable to let go of a son. And Wilbur was a full-blown mama's boy. One day, after about a year of this marriage, Louise said, "Millie, aren't you pregnant yet?" No, not yet." "You've been married for a year and still no baby. You're taking too long. We have our own pace for these things. Don't be so leisurely. Hurry up and give me grandchildren." Louise said that and went to her room. From then on, Louise would nag me daily to have kids. The stress was unbearable and I started to lose weight, but I never went back to my parents' house. I didn't want to worry my dad, who was so happy for me. Despite this, Louise's harassment intensified. If I bought feminine hygiene products at the drugstore, she'd sigh dramatically and say, "The reason you're not getting pregnant must be your fault." "That's not true. The doctor said everything is fine." "Then prove it. Hurry up and get pregnant. You've been married for 2 years." I was doing my best to conceive, but there was no sign of it happening. Then, one day in our 3rd year of marriage, Louise asked during dinner, "Millie, any news this month? Are you pregnant?" "No." I stopped eating and answered in a small voice. Louise then berated me, her face red with anger. "Why aren't you pregnant yet? You're utterly useless." "I'm sorry." "Millie, you're what they call useless. What a waste." "Louise, that's really harsh." "Don't talk back when you can't even get pregnant." As I shrank back, Louise turned to Wilbur. "Hey, Wilbur, you don't really want a wife who can't get pregnant, do you?" "Yeah, you're right." Wilbur responded as if it was a given. "I can only think that the problem lies with Millie. I've wasted my youth." "Aw, poor Wilbur." Louise exaggeratedly sighed and put her hand on Wilbur's shoulder. Wilbur looked down on me with disdain. "By the way, Millie, ever heard of 3 strikes and you're out?" What?" "It means if you fail at something 3 times in a row, you're out of chances. We've been married for 3 years. If you can't have a child, then pack your bags and leave." I can't believe this." "Millie, let's get a divorce. I want to be with a woman who's cuter than you and can actually have children." Wilbur said this and threw a pre-filled divorce application in front of me. "Wilbur, are you serious?" "Yes, I'm serious. So pack your stuff and get out. I don't want to see your face anymore." As he said this, Louise looked at me with a gleeful expression. "Did you hear that? I never liked you from the start. Sign the divorce papers and get out of here." At that moment, I reached my limit. I had put up with Louise's harassment while doing household chores for 3 years. I had also tried my best to have a child, and yet this is how they treat me. I can't take it anymore. "Fine, I'll leave." I signed the divorce papers and packed my bags. As I was about to leave, Wilbur was already asleep in the bedroom. Louise came over with a malicious grin and spoke to me. "I wonder how a 30-year-old woman who can't even have kids will survive after getting divorced. I'll take my leave now. Goodbye." "Don't ever show your face here again, you jinx." And so, my married life came to an end. After that, I threw myself into my work. Perhaps because I was free from living with Louise and her constant jabs, I found work enjoyable and started achieving one goal after another. A few years after divorcing Wilbur, a man confessed his feelings to me. "Millie, would you consider dating me with marriage in mind?" His name was Jonathan Burt, an employee at a prestigious company we did business with. I knew his character well through work. He was sincere, competent, and liked by everyone. I never thought he would have feelings for me. I was taken aback. Thank you, but I'm divorced. I know that. It doesn't matter to me. But how about we start by going out for dinner? Jonathan said this with a serious look. I nodded, and thus began my relationship with Jonathan. Being with Jonathan somehow made me feel at ease. He was always kind and considerate, and he respected me. Before I knew it, I had fallen in love with him. Millie, will you marry me? After dating for a while, Jonathan proposed to me. Thank you, Jonathan. Before I give you an answer, there's something I need to tell you. What is it? In my previous marriage, things didn't go well with my mother-in-law. It was really hard for me. I don't want to go through that again. I see. How about meeting my mom first? Okay. Feeling anxious, I agreed to meet Jonathan's mother. On the day, I headed to Jonathan's family home, nervous but hopeful. Nice to meet you, Millie. I've heard a lot about you from Jonathan. Jonathan's mother, Mary, greeted me with a warm smile. Nice to meet you, too. Despite my awkwardness, Mary kept smiling and made light conversation, even throwing in a few jokes. Somehow my nerves eased, and by the time I left, I felt like Mary and I had become good friends. Mary, as you know, I'm divorced, and I might not be able to have children. Is it still okay for me to marry Jonathan? Mary smiled at my nervous question. Of course. If Jonathan chose you, that's good enough for me. All I want is for you two to be happy. Please take good care of my son. Mary, I won't interfere in your lives, but if you ever need anything, feel free to ask. I'm really happy to have you as part of the family. Thank you. I look forward to our future together. Relieved, I started to cry, and Mary gently patted my back. On the way home, I told Jonathan, "Your mom, Mary, is wonderful. I never had a mother, but she's exactly what I'd imagine a perfect mom to be." Really? That's great to hear. I promise she won't ever pressure you, and if anything ever goes wrong, I'll always be on your side. Thank you. My answer to your proposal is yes. Yes, I'm so happy. Thank you, Millie. Jonathan hugged me with a beaming smile. For the first time, I felt hopeful about the future. Soon after, Jonathan and I got married. Mary had said we didn't have to live with her, so we rented a condo near my parents-in-law's home. We often met up with Mary for meals and trips, maintaining a good relationship. Amazingly, within a year of our marriage, I became pregnant with Jonathan's child. Mary was thrilled and supported me throughout my pregnancy and after our daughter Coco was born. For someone without a mother, this meant the world to me. Years passed, and 7 years into our marriage, Coco turned 5. I was hoping for continued happiness when something happened. One evening, while folding laundry, I received a call from an unknown number. I thought it was a wrong number, but the phone kept ringing at intervals. Wondering if it might be someone I know, or if something had happened to my dad who lives alone, I answered. Hello? Is this Millie? It's me. The voice on the phone sounded familiar. It was Wilbur, my ex-husband. No doubt about it. Actually, Millie, I have some bad news. Wilbur was crying on the other end. Silent, I let him continue. My mom just passed away. What? You must be sad too, right? She was like a real mother to you, but we don't have time to grieve. We have to arrange the funeral. Come over here and help. What are you talking about? My mother-in-law passed away 3 years ago. What? Stunned by my words, Wilbur was silent on the other end of the phone. But then he started yelling. Ew. Do you think it's okay to joke at a time like this? Your only mother-in-law has just died. That's what I'm telling you. That only mother-in-law passed away 3 years ago. Upon hearing this, Wilbur was speechless. You didn't... Yes? You got remarried? Yes, I did, and I was blessed with a wonderful mother-in-law. It's unfortunate she passed away 3 years ago, but I'm living happily with my husband now. That's right. Mary had passed away 3 years ago due to illness. I was so happy that Millie became Jonathan's wife. Thank you for introducing me to Coco as well. Live happily from now on. I will never forget Mary's last words. She was the only mother figure I ever had. You traitor! Wilbur was furious on the other end. I calmly responded. You were the one who pushed for the divorce, remember? You bragged about moving on quickly. Didn't you remarry? Well, so you didn't remarry. Given your personality and that mother-in-law, it's not surprising. You! Never mind. Just come and help. Why would I? No way. My mom has died. Are you even human? Ignoring Wilbur's rant, I calmly said, the only mother figure for me is my husband's mother. Your mother's passing is unfortunate, but it has nothing to do with me. Don't you have any compassion? I don't care what you think. I'm hanging up now. Wait. Just then, Coco hugged me from behind. Who are you talking to, Mommy? Wilbur heard Coco's voice. Wilbur's voice trembled over the phone. Mommy? You had a child? Yes. I got pregnant shortly after remarrying. Is there a problem? But Louise said you were infertile. Your beloved Louise thought so, but she was wrong. Serves you right. Good luck living alone. Goodbye. Ignoring Wilbur's silence, I hung up and blocked his number. Later, I heard from mutual friends that he somehow managed to hold Louise's funeral. However, due to Louise's personality, hardly anyone attended, making it a lonely event. The story doesn't end there. Sometime after Louise's death, it was revealed that she had debts. Wilbur unknowingly inherited the debt and is now living a life burdened by it. He had to sell his family home and is now living alone in an old apartment, chased by debt collectors. As for me, I'm building a happy home with Jonathan and Coco. On the anniversary of Mary's death, we always offer her favorite sweets and flowers at her grave and update her on our family's well-being. I want to be a good mother to Coco, just like Mary was for me. With that thought, I continue to cherish each day with my loving family.